talk to me a little bit about your involvement in the STEM fields, and why do you think it's so important to make sure that our youth, and especially minority youth, have a more elevated performance and elevated participation in these fields?
There are a lot of us in the field, really. And
more than you think you see, right?
Yes. A lot of them are background research or doing a PhD right now, or just out in the field doing their own little quiet thing. The sky's the limit.
Sky is literally the limit. The possibilities are endless.
Yes, and I mean that even includes hairstylists, for instance, because many very dedicated hairstylists will start creating their own products, which means they're artists for one thing, because they already design. They're engineers, they're putting something together.
They're chemists, science, right? Because they're actually got to make the products.
Exactly. They use technology all the time because they have different types of devices to do different types of things with hair. I mean, there's so many different careers that encompass STEAM that aren't really utilized or told to our community, and I want people to know that you can incorporate any piece of STEAM into the career. In fact, you're a scientist every day.
You're a scientist every day. That's the important thing, right? Because I think a lot of times we look at science and engineering, mathematics, and we think of it as like, oh, equations, and you got to go to a lab to kind of learn about this stuff. Yeah. One thing that I always see you talking about and preaching is that science is all around us, right? And that's what we try to do with Hip Hop Science platform, whether it's through fail videos or breaking down lyrics or doing scientific discoveries. We see science with us every single day. The communication that we're having is a form of science. Things are happening right now in this space that we're in is a form of science. What you go into your car, when you go home, there's science literally taking place everywhere, right? Yeah, you're trying to develop a route, or what you're going to wear in the morning,
brushing your teeth. Everything that you're doing, it's your beginning and your end of the day.
Yep. It can be psychological, your decision-making process. All that has elements of science to it.
Arthritis, all those things. I've used a joke before about, kids, decide whether or not they're going to wear deodorant that day. That's a scientific experiment.
Or what type of deodorant. You go with some Old Spice, you'll do some Mitchell, you go do some Gillette.
What you're doing,
These decisions you got to make. These are crucial decisions in life.
Exactly.
I say to my students, every day, you're a scientist. And of course, you know how they reply. What? Who are you talking to? You're not talking to me, Miss Meade. And so, of course, I repeat myself. Every day, you are a scientist.
Each one of those things, the art, even, art and technology, engineering and math are all science. That's it's interesting they throw science at the beginning because it actually is the umbrella for all those little pieces that fall underneath it. An artist has to be able to mix paints and the right chemicals together to get the medium that they want, and they are scientists. So it's very interesting, having to instill that into students' minds. That each piece that you put forth each day is something scientific, each thing that you do each day.
And I think why that's even more important, especially within our community, is especially with so much technology out with cell phones and apps and whatnot, is we a lot of times we become these users of all these products, right? And one thing I always want to preach is it's great to be users, but we need to be on that development end, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's all these cool apps, there's all this cool technology with cell phones and different contraptions, video games, but there are people that are creating that for us to be able to utilize, and we need to get on that back end of it and really be the ones that are putting that out in the atmosphere. And all those are very much more accessible than they were when when we're in school and different things like that for kids to utilize. Do you feel the kids are starting to have that little understanding at all?
They're trying to have that ownership. So for instance, our students were asked to create an app kind of for, what would it look like if you created an app for food finders? It was something related to food finders. So they kind of gave the people their ideas, and I said, you guys just help create an app, right? Or you help create a program.
Exactly.
All it is speaking up, really, too, and saying, or noticing that there's a need for something, and then going ahead and getting that done. When they see that, when they understand that, that's all it was.
It's like mind blown. It's like, I just did that.
Maybe the last couple of years, actually, I've gotten my students involved with their city of Long Beach and, in developing their North Long Beach community. What do you want in your community?
Yeah.
Speak up.
Speak up.
You can say what you want. Like, people will listen.
Use your voice to get heard. People will listen to you.
People will listen to you.
When students see people that look like them, it gives them that motivation that they need in order to say, you know what, I can go ahead and do this too.
So we're talking about some people that you are interested in their research studies, right? Talk to us about a couple people that you've been following some of their research and what exactly they're doing.
Well, Anna Antonu is a trash researcher, and she focuses on the west coast of Washington right now. Is what her main research is. She was interested in Native American tribes and what they ate, because the tribal land that's on the west coast of Washington is not able to fish like they used to. And so she wanted to actually create a proving point of what these cultures actually did eat and tribes did eat or did interact with in the ocean. And so she made these grids of plots of land in order to identify what these cultures, these different tribes ate. It's phenomenal to look at the types of food, but also the types of trash, right, that they created.
Because you learn a lot.
Yes,
learn a lot
right.
from what people throw away.
Sure do. Just like I tell my students, what do you want people thinking of you in the next, 100
years.
200 years? So, because people are going to know about those hot Cheetos. But then there's also Rebecca Tarvin that is, and Joe Cutler and Anna Antonu actually are all helping out with this program, EcoBlitz, it's called.
Okay, EcoBlitz.
The EcoBlitz.
Okay, I like that term.
The California EcoBlitz. We want teachers, formal and informal educators to get their students outside and documenting trash and documenting life. So I think that being able to go outside, students actually seeing the trash and having to pick it up actually and count it, it really helps them to understand.
They get more connected to that. They understand how how our consumption and different things that are putting out there is affecting the land that's right around us.
That's right. So my students, for instance, saw that there was way more trash than life in the park that's next to Jordan High School, Long Beach, Jordan. We're next to Houghton Park. And so it really helped them to make better decisions on how they see trash, how they view trash, and how they interact with trash.
So we're going to see how well you know your periodic table.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Let's see.
So this is the next question. If P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever, whatever acronym he wants to go by now.
Okay.
P. Diddy, which is currently going by, were an element on the periodic table.
Okay.
Which element would he most likely be? This one's here. You just got to guess this one. You got to know your periodic table and think of the name P. Diddy. If P. Diddy were an element on the periodic table, which element would he be?
Palladium.
Palladium. We're going to go with Palladium.
Palladium.
Number 46 on the periodic table.
46.
Transition metal known as Palladium. That is absolutely correct. Yes. You would be Palladium. PD, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. That makes absolute sense, right? Palladium.
That's it.
Yep. And you know what? What's another good reason why you probably that? It's platinum. So platinum's one of part of the platinum group, right? And Diddy's all about the platinum, silver jewelry, boom, boom. It's so fitting. It's so fitting. P. Diddy, Palladium all the way. That's awesome. You're killing this.